Wake that ass up.
Early in the morning.
The Breakfast Club.
Morning, everybody. It's DJ Envy, Angela Yee, Charlamagne the God. We are The Breakfast Club. We have a special guest in the building.
Yes, indeed.
Miss Tina Lifford. Welcome.
Good morning.
Hey there. How
welcome,
are you?
welcome.
I'm blessed, black, and highly favored. How are
I
you?
know that's the truth.
That's right.
Me too.
You got a book out, The Little Book of Lies.
The
Little Book of Big Lies.
Big Lies.
Little Book of Big Lies.
Mm-hmm.
What is a big lie?
Big lie is anything that has ever happened in your life that has left you feeling less than, not good enough, or incapable.
Ooh. So basically like traumas that you've dealt with.
Traumas, that teacher that said something rude to you that now you hold on to, that experience of seeing something that traumatized you like my father did. Whatever it is that stole your power is a lie.
That coworker that talks about you all the time and lies about you.
Say it again.
Now, you heard me. I said that coworker that talks about
absolutely.
you and lies about you.
Absolutely. Well, if in fact that lie actually steals your power, then it is a lie. If it doesn't steal your power, then it's just noise.
Okay.
Yeah, you know, yeah, like people, we was talking about the term "buy ugly" when people would say "buy ugly," and I've been getting that my whole life, but I didn't realize it was a bad term until this morning.
And isn't that good?
Yeah.
Because if you didn't internalize it as a
It
bad
had no
term,
power over me.
then it had no power over
That's
you.
right.
But when those events happen in our lives and they wind up being stuck in our emotional system,
Gotcha.
and now they begin to shape how we see and experience ourselves and others, that's a lie, and it's a lie that we need to take our power back from.
So you've said in this book that emotional pain and frustration that we have, that comes from these lies that we've been told. A lot of times when we have these chronic issues that we're dealing with, it's because something that somebody said to us has really stuck with us and we've internalized that.
We have internalized
Do you
it.
use that pain sometimes in your acting?
Oh, my goodness gracious. Yes. I mean, I think that one of the best parts of being an actor is that the profession requires that you explore your internal experiences and be able to access them. And so being able to touch pain and old pain is what a lot of people call the method process. I don't do that. I so love the human condition. I so understand that we are all the same. On the outside, we got a lot of different details going on, but on the inside, when it comes to the emotional part of us, we're the exact same. And if in fact something hurts you, then that hurt becomes a part of our experience. It loops in our lives until we actively go in and address it. And so it's really easy for me to, as an actress, tap into emotional pain because I know what it is.
Right.
And I don't have to bring up, something from my past. I just know if I'm living the life of the character in front of me, then that character is at an emotional place that I know. I've been there. We've all been there.
Right.
Everybody could be an actor if you can accept and relate to and own your emotional experiences.
Now, you dedicated this book to your brother.
Yep.
Let's talk about that.
Yep.
What happened to your brother?
So my brother, let's start with the fact that my brother started smoking weed when he was maybe 11 years old. And I know this after the fact, right? But he died at 50 from a drug overdose 2 weeks out of rehab. And the reason the book is dedicated to my brother is because he truly was one of the best people that I know. But he was sensitive in a way that wasn't good in this world, particularly when he also had the challenge of not being able to read. And at that time, they didn't know that it was dyslexic, that he was dyslexic, right? So you go from the early experiences of not being like the other kids, and then my father also could not read. And that was not something that my father dealt with appropriately where my brother was concerned. So my brother had no tools, right? And my father was able to power through where my brother couldn't. And I think that my brother and my father, and I'll say this without any sense of protection, I think that my father was hard on my brother because he was making him ready for the world. But he was hard on a child that was more sensitive than he was. And so that child needed a different level of interaction and care.
Oh, that's powerful. The reason that's so powerful is because, as men, we have issues with our father and the way they may have been tough on us, the way they may have disciplined us. But as you grow older, you realize they was kind of just doing the best they could.
Absolutely.
He was teaching based off the experiences that he'd been through and what he had learned.
And his limited knowledge of himself and his way of navigating the world, right? Which really, if you are projecting your way of navigating the world onto someone else, and you're not taking time to actually know that person, you might very well be running over the very essence of another human being.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, trying to help them be like you.
Yes, ma'am.
Right, because we always talk about kids, and they'll say, "Oh, kids are too sensitive nowadays," but all kids have different levels of sensitivity.
Absolutely. We all need to slow down and really connect with the person in front of us. And the reason we don't do that is that we are afraid that we don't want to challenge our own mindset and beliefs. We are surviving based upon our mindset and beliefs. And so we need everyone to agree that the way in which we see it is the way in which it is and is correct. And to challenge our beliefs is to put us in a place of discomfort. Because if I don't know what I know, then how do I survive?
How do you feel about marijuana now? Because you mentioned marijuana and your brother started smoking at 11. So many different states are legalizing it. But obviously for your brother, it could have been a gateway drug to something stronger. How do you feel about marijuana use?
Marijuana was not my brother's gateway.
Okay.
Pain was his gateway.
Ooh.
Right? And I think that the challenge with any drug use, even recreational drug use, is that if we don't know ourselves well enough, then it is very easy for a substance to step in and help calm the dis-ease that is inside of us, when what we really should be doing is finding more effective ways to calm that dis-ease. Take care of yourself, connect with yourself, be able to be with yourself, then you won't need the substances to make it okay to just be here. Be here, be now, be with you.
Gotcha.
You know what's so interesting? I love everything you're talking about, but I think that we're the first generation that has the luxury of healing. I don't think our parents and our grandparents had that luxury. All they knew was pain, and they just tell you to get over your pain. So we're the ones that get to go to therapy. We're the ones that get to build with our spiritual counselors. So these big lies, we didn't realize they were lies. I didn't realize a lot of them were lies until I got older and started doing the work on myself.
Yes.
They still normalize a lot of them lies.
Yeah, and I think that that's such a good point, Charlamagne, because it is important for us to realize that first and foremost, we are a species that is evolving.
Yes.
We think that we're it. We're not it. You know that chart that you learn in school about the evolution of mankind and how it's gotten up to Homo sapiens sapien. We're not the end. Something's coming after us, right? But we act like we are the end, and we act like the little information that we have right this minute is the whole picture in this huge universe dealing with this mind that they're only just now beginning to understand.
Yes.
How crazy is that?
Right.
So we are literally making decisions and coming to, hardline conclusions about who we are and how the world works when we don't have a freaking clue about how it really works.
And you talk about inner fitness, right? And having I didn't realize the first actual gyms didn't open until 1936? 1934, you said, right, with Jack LaLanne.
That's right.
But now you think about inner fitness facilities. You think that's something that's going to be a reality?
Absolutely, because it just makes sense.
It's like meditation kind of and yoga.
Well, so I define inner fitness as, being fit on the inside, having mental, emotional, and spiritual skills and practices that when you practice them, they will help relieve stress, build strength and resilience, and move you towards thriving instead of surviving. And just like with physical fitness, everybody knows the importance of physical fitness. It's undeniable. Even throughout the medical universe now, physical fitness is seen to be an important part of wellness. Well, it just makes sense that inner fitness would be an important part of our inner health and well-being.
That's right.
And the thing that also makes sense to me is when it comes to mental illness, I love that we're switching from the term mental illness and speaking more about mental wellness. Right? I think that that's really important. I think it's really important for us to all literally leverage everything that we know about physical fitness. And so, in doing so, it's important to know that there is a range before something becomes chronic, before we are in terrible dis-ease. There's a range where we can learn how to be proactive and prophylactic in terms of how we deal with ourselves. To learn how important it is to be able to, self-observe. And as you self-observe, being able to see your patterns, things that you haven't seen before. Because if you can sit back and just watch yourself like you're watching a movie, you will see things like you see in a movie. In a movie, that something's coming through that door and something's standing behind. You will begin to see ways in which your patterns are operating. And you can go, oh, I do that. And the moment you can see yourself more objectively, you have just crossed the line into the beginning of owning your power. Because if you can see it, if you can separate yourself enough to see it, which, as you were saying, Charlamagne, our parents were not able to do. They were so busy surviving. But we, and the frontal lobe is helping us now be able to self-observe. And if you can see it, then you can start to interrupt the habits that tie that pattern together. And once you start to interrupt those habits, every little thing you do, even as simple as seeing it, allows you to slowly deconstruct it, destabilize it, so it's not as powerful and able to own you as it was when you couldn't see it.
How do you think we'll ever get to a place of whole? I'll be having this conversation with my spiritual coach. I don't know if you can ever truly get to a place of just complete wholeness.
Well, I think that we would have to be in the conversation of how do you define wholeness?
Yeah.
If you define wholeness as not having any problems, no, we're not going to get there. But if you define wholeness as being able to have a sense of yourself,
thriving,
no matter what's going on in your life, if you define wholeness as the experience of even being in really difficult situations and at the same time knowing that it's not you, knowing that it doesn't have to define you, that is a different idea of wholeness.
Right.
Right?
Knowing that it's not forever.
Yeah.
Right.
No, knowing that it's not for. I think that one of the biggest components to living life well and taking charge of our well-being is to know, up until now, words like, hope and inspiration and possibility, those have been sort of nice woo-woo words. But when you actually look at history, nothing has been achieved without the power of hope and possibility being present. And so the most important thing that we can do is to always have a doorway inside of us where we can, no matter what the circumstances are that we are in, that we can feel, access the tiniest bit of hope and possibility. If you can access a little bit of hope, you can access a lot more.
Okay.
Well, Tina Lifford
Well,
has to go. So
And before you leave, though, because I got to ask one Queen Sugar question.
Okay.
Okay. Hollywood. Is there really any men like him that you've ever experienced in this world?
Let me
Because
tell
he
you
seems
this.
very perfect.
Let me tell you this. My sister, my older sister, died this past March or April. And
Sorry to hear it.
Yeah, thank you for that. And she had a brain tumor, let's just say that. And when she was laying in the hospital, my brother-in-law was with her every single day that she was there. And she was there for almost 4 months.
Wow.
Every single night he spent the night there. And I walked into her hospital room and he did not know I was there. And he was talking to her and she's in a coma. And he said to her, "Baby, you have taken care of me my entire life. And if you come back to me, I will take care of you." And for 4 years, my sister convalesced, basically. There was some recovery. She did wake up. She did start to live life. But this dude was there. And you could see in his eyes that he loved the person that was inside of her. He didn't care about her physical whatever. He loved that human being. And when she died 4 years later, he says, and I feel for him around this, but he says, Marty didn't just die. There's a part of my life that has died. So I do believe that there are people who can connect beyond all the noise that, is involved with relationships. There's so much confusion around that, but that's a whole other conversation.
Well, thank you for joining us so much. We really appreciate it.
Yeah, journey into inner fitness. I love that because I'm all about mental health and mindfulness.
So tell people to get my book.
That's right. The book,
Yes.
The Little Book of Big Lies, and we appreciate you for joining us.
Yeah, I thank you so very much.
And there's some
you
great
all.
workshops in there that you can do as you read each chapter.
Yeah, at the back of each chapter, there are simple to-dos. So this is not big and overwhelming. You can.
Well, it's Tina Lifford. It's
I
the
do want to
Breakfast
ask her
Club.
how to take our power back real quick.
Okay,
though. How do we take our power back?
You can take your power back by seeing how you have given it away. Just seeing that, right, allows you to begin to make choices that are different than the ones that have held that in place. We got to see where we are, and then when we see where we are, we can begin to make new decisions and choices. It's simple. This up until now and from this point forward, the most important little thing in this book is to know that no matter how things have been up until now, from this point forward, they can be better. That opens up that little bit of possibility, and that possibility has a lot of power in it.
All right. Faith of a mustard seed.
All right. Tina Lifford, it's the Breakfast Club. Good morning.